Howdy folks, Dave of Chaos Crafting here. As you can see, I got a bit going on my hobby table. I recently ran across a game you may have heard of called Trench Crusade. And I thought it was a very cool miniature-based game. It's one of the squad-based games where you don't have to create an entire army. You create, 5 to 10 characters, and you play it like a standard tabletop game. What I like about it is that it's miniature agnostic. Basically, you don't have to have a specific brand or faction from a manufacturer. You can kit bash to your heart's content. Now they do have 3D printable files that kind of match the game artwork, which is really cool. But I'm not too much into 3D printing because I really like the kit bashing. So what I did is I went out and I started looking at various manufacturers that would make some genre appropriate miniatures. Of course, the first thing I thought about was Games Workshop. Their Imperial Guard line of miniatures match kind of perfectly for the look and feel of the game. However, they're Games Workshop miniatures. These things are expensive. Like for a kill team, you're going to spend $60 for a box, of 10 miniatures. And well, that's kind of expensive. And there's not much kit bashing you could do to these guys because they're pretty much unique poses with unique gear and equipment. So, hey, that's not too fun. I want to actually do some kind of kit bashing. So I went out and let's see. One of the first ones I found was from War Games Atlantic. And they do a range of, several ranges of miniatures. Some of them sci-fi, they have classic fantasy, and they're inexpensive. So this was a box of 24 miniatures, and I believe it was like $35 for the box. So double the miniatures at half the price from your standard Games Workshop fare. That's this guy right here. Now I'll tell you, the quality is pretty good, but it's not Games Workshop level of detail. Because man, as much as I hate their price, Games Workshop miniatures do have some detail to them. And these work pretty well. If you like, they come in some different nationalities. So if you were looking to build your own unique Trench Crusade army, this would be an appropriate feel. I like their coats and I like their backpacks. Very similar to the Imperial Guard Krieg army. I like it, especially the gas masks. But in the book shows, from Trench Crusade, it shows a lot of medieval knights kind of looking armor, because, that's one of the factions. So I found another miniature line called Perry Miniatures, and they're more of a historic miniature line. And they do box sets from different points in history, different conflicts. And these, again, about $35 a box. I'll double check and put some information down in the details. But almost 40 miniatures, really good price. And let's see if I can find a sprue here. These miniatures are modular. Meaning that they give you a set of bodies, multiple sets of arms, And you can really go to town with your customization. Yes, Trench Crusade is not all melee weapons. They do have some ranged weapons, depending on what kind of troop you're trying to put together. So this is where the kit bashing comes in. You know, I do have a bits box, and I've got here an Imperial Guard arms. And if I take a look at one of the bodies here, see if I can get this up close. The Games Workshop, my fat fingers are in the way. The Games Workshop arms are just a little larger in scale, but honestly, it's not enough to notice. So if you have a healthy bits box, which all crafters should, then you can use some Imperial Guard las guns or bolters to have knights with guns that don't look like Space Marines. That's one of the key things. Allow me to clean up this mess real quick, and we'll get into some of the details. This is another silly project I'm working on. Now, as far as bits boxes go, yeah, I do have a lot of Games Workshop miniatures or bits in my bits box because I do enjoy those models greatly. So I started looking around for options. You know, if you don't happen to have, 20 Games Workshop las guns in your bits box, you can buy sprues from various companies. This is a sprue from War Games Atlantic, and it is all arms and guns. So it comes with what looks like a Tommy gun, and then another one that's like a standard las rifle, bayonets, a bunch of gas mask heads, which are a little big for some of the Perry miniatures. I think the Perry miniatures are closer to like maybe a 1/35 scale at a guess. But this sprue, so cheap and inexpensive, and you could combine it with some knight bodies. You could combine it with the War Games Atlantic miniature line and customize as you like. So yeah, I picked up a bunch of these. I'll definitely be keeping these in my bits box for a while. And let me show you what we created. I have hundreds of partially started projects. I guess I have crafting ADHD. I just, depends on what I'm feeling inspired about. There's a knight with the las gun. He's equipped with a sword, and he's got a shield on his back. I thought this was very cool because it matched the artwork pretty closely. And if you want to get crazy, here's a special character, and I created a standard cross. I forget what he's called. I haven't yet played. Is that bad? I haven't yet played the game. I got inspired by all the artwork, and I said, I've got to build that. And that's what I did. In one of the heavy units, I used a Space Marine body to create a heavy unit with a large machine gun that is basically gribbly parts and a bolter all smashed together. But these Perry miniature bodies with the knights in the armor go so well with the Games Atlantic arms. I mean, I think they're perfectly matched in scale, which is awesome. And you could do things like I took bits from the bits box and made some standardized backpacks for the troopers. And you see here, this one has a weapon slung on the backpack. It allows you to say, well, he's got a weapon as well as a melee weapon. They've got a ranged weapon as well as a melee weapon. But these I would consider these, even though they look really dark and, to use the word from Games Workshop, grimdank, these are the good guys. They've been fighting the forces of hell for a long time. And I just started kitbashing some evil faction, some warriors, some death troopers from the Gates of Hell itself. Again, it's the Perry Miniatures armored body. I took one of the Atlantic War Games backpacks, which I think are so cool. A las gun, and Games Workshop skeleton head to create a Death Trooper Sergeant. And here's another one. This one, let's see, this one is from, this is probably one of the best finds. Again, Perry Miniatures. Some Franco-Prussian troopers. You see they've got the backpacks. They're set up with standard rifles. The rifles that they provided were too skinny, tiny. So yeah, I swapped those out. You can see it's got the backpack. It's got that great cloak. But here we have the Games Workshop las gun. And a good old skull just dropped on top. Between those three manufacturers, Games Workshop for some fiddly bits, Perry Miniatures, and War Games Atlantic, you could create anything. And I really hope you enjoyed this quick show and tell video. I know the crafting part was absent, but I needed an easy video to get me back into the crafting groove. Work, family, and mental health have kept me plenty busy. I still want to complete the Dragon Ship video series I started last year. That's a real challenging project. One, just to capture the intricacies and technique, and two, the video editing skills necessary to make it all make sense. I know, I have such first world problems. So, I'm not going to make any promises, but I do feel like things have stabilized enough in my life to actually be more creative. Share what's going on Grumpy Dad's crafting table. And until next time, peace.